Yes, it's hard work, but everything in life is hard. You pick your hard. Welcome back to Redoctoring. I'm your host, Dr. Diane. This is the podcast where we allow you to be a different kind of doctor. In the previous episode, I discussed the realities of being a doctor today in South Africa, which was a lot. It was a lot. I just scraped the surface with regards to my points and my tidbits, but please let me know if you want me to expand on any of the other points that I made and make a solo episode about it, because it's a lot. Being a public healthcare servant is a lot. In today's episode, I want to question the status quo. I want to look at the lie that is behind the linear path that we are fed since medical school that leads into success. You know how in this podcast I say that you and I are trying to become a different type of doctor? In this episode, I'm giving you permission to question the one-way journey that we have been taught. I think it was in episode 2 I shared that I'm post-comserve and I'm navigating this space. Recently, I had a job interview. With a local doctor who was looking for a GP for his practice. In one of his questions, he asked, do I want to specialize? What am I going to specialize into? No, actually, he asked, what am I going to specialize as? You know, it wasn't even a question of if I wanted to. It was the assumption that I would. Now, my response was, I'm not thinking about that. I don't want to specialize. He clutched his pearls because he was like, what do you mean you don't want to specialize? You're 28, you're young, you're unmarried, you don't have kids yet. This is the prime time to. And I agreed with that. I said, if there was a post and if I felt the inclination to, I would. But that brings us to the question of medicine that really bugs me sometimes is, why must success only be seen as me specializing, as me going that route and becoming super knowledgeable in only one area of the body? Why? So in today's episode, I just want to question that because it's a lot. Since med school, we are taught that you are going to do med school, then do internship, then do your community service. One day you'll be an MO, then you'll be a registrar, then you'll be a specialist, and only then you will find happiness. Happiness and joy and fulfillment in this career is when you become a specialist, not anything below that, because you're still in the trenches, you're working very hard. Internship is hard, comserve is hard, being a registrar, oh my goodness. They get grilled every single day and they still have to go home and study. It's hard. So one day when you are a specialist, you will be in your office, you'll be working in practice. No one's going to wake you up when you sleep. No one is going to be, basically, the specialists don't do all the dirty work. They sit back, they relax, and they analyze. They're like the captains in the ship. Whereas everybody else in medicine is cleaning the dock. They are on the deck while the storm is coming through. You know, you see that image. That is exactly why people say you need to specialize. The linear path in medicine can make it feel like you are not successful or you are not worthy of the title doctor unless you want to get all the way there. We need GPs. We need very good GPs in today's society. But being a GP is side-eyed so heavily within the medical community, and I don't understand why. When we all have sicknesses and problems, we all start at a GP. GPs carry so much responsibility in being able to know, okay, do I escalate or can I manage and send home? They are like the frontline workers before you get to the specialists. So having the aspiration to be a GP, to serve your community in that way, why is it frowned upon? Yes, it's hard work, but everything in life is hard. You pick your hard. Another thing that I've seen in hospitals is chronic MOs. Basically, these are people who did not specialize and they remained MOs. They can go up to being senior MOs of like grade 3. Yes, they don't necessarily have the title to make all the departmental decisions, but some of them get to live fulfilled lives as a chronic MO. Within the medical community, it's also very much frowned upon to just live the rest of your days as an MO, working in a hospital. They say, no, you can't be happy like that. You need to go and specialize. You need to go and stop doing calls, which is also another lie because calls are optional at some point. You can choose whether you want to do them or not. Going back to the script that we are served, it does not take into consideration the fact that we are people who need to rest. We are people who need to explore, and we are also people who can change our minds. Taking a break or taking some time off is always seen as a bad thing in every career and industry, but I can only speak for medicine. And it's tough. It's tough to bear, it's tough to experience, because you are allowed to step back. You are allowed to remove the responsibilities on your plate. If you can afford that, go for it. I'm in support of that. It's all down to personal evolution. And the linear path in medicine feels quite restrictive at times. This is something that's so close to my heart, is I just want to make every path in medicine normalized, so that no one can feel shame or no person can feel like they are failing if they don't aspire to do and be what the rest of the medical society has told them to be. The internal guilt, feeling like you're betraying the commonwealth of medicine or whatever it's called, it needs to die. It needs to die, and we need to allow people to evolve as human beings, first and foremost, and let their jobs become expressions for whatever that evolution becomes. Remember how I said in the previous episode that a lot of doctors are seen as machines and need to deny themselves in order to get the job done? That's what reinforcing the linear route can feel like. It can feel like at all costs you need to get through, deny what you're feeling, because the promised land is right over there. The promised land is there, and only there and then will everything make sense. And rarely in life is anything like that. If you can't enjoy the journey of anything, who's to say you'll enjoy the destination of said thing? I have a friend who he's doing his internship now. I remember last year when I was doing my community service, he was like, "Oh, Diane, listen, I love traveling. I love my life as it is. I need to find a way to do medicine so that I can still vibe, so that I can travel, so I can go to Cape Town at least once every 2 months." Like, listen, my friend literally does medicine as a side gig. Every time on his stories, it's him on another place in South Africa. It's crazy. Just knowing that someone in my close circle is already branching out and looking for ways that they can make medicine fit their lifestyle reinforces the need for this podcast and for the information that I intend to bring across. Because some of us want to be humans before we are professionals. Yes, we need money. Yes, we need all of those things. But can we also just be girls and boys? Like, can we? So yes, basically, that was a little spin-off. This is why my friend's story really just reiterated the need for pivoting, the need to normalize a different path and to normalize the resources to get there. Now I just want to bring up to you of how pivoting can look in different stages and how it should be normalized. I'll take you through medical school, working, and then eventually being an MO. So some ideas I got with regards to med school was taking a break. We just need to normalize taking a break. I know in varsity, I didn't know many people who deliberately took a break, but apparently it is possible to take a leave of absence for a year. I know in my comserve year, I had a colleague who said that she took a year off in varsity and she went to travel in Europe. Of course, that sounded very much like she did that on her parents' money, but it's just nice to know that there are people out there who are like, listen, you can go take a break. And I want to normalize that in your mind, and I want to reiterate that into your mind, my listener, because it's important to take breaks. It's important to rest. And sometimes medical school can get a lot. I myself, if I could do it again, maybe I would have taken a break. I think for me, I would have taken the break before I went into, because if you watched episode 2, I explained my whole story. I think I also wish that medical school was done you could prolong it a little bit, because I feel like if there was an extra year to it, maybe it would be less fast paced, and maybe it would consider the fact that we are children who are becoming adults at the same time that you're teaching us to protect and save human lives. Like, it's a lot of responsibility that just gets dumped on us. So I wonder. My honest vibe is that if you're in medical school and you're hating it, if you can, finish it. Because once you have the degree, so many doors can open with regards to pivoting, take a break, do what you want, start internship in 6 months. I think that's also something I wish I would have done, but I didn't know you could. You can actually start your internship 6 months later. Like, life is long. You don't have to start making money in January. It's okay to start making it in June. Post internship and comserve, you can also look into health tech. You can look at working for NGOs, build your network so that you are able to look for all these other things. Like, when you have the degree, you can pivot and you can choose your own path as to how you want it to be. You can't do locums as an intern, and you also can't do locums as a comserve. It's a crime, I think. I think it's a crime because you're not yet an independent practitioner. But I have heard through the grapevine some people do locums as interns. It's very dangerous. I do not recommend. But at least after comserve, you are able to do that. I actually spoke to a friend recently, and he said, we actually spoke about the vibe of some people in America, they are just travel nurses. You know, they just travel to different parts of America and they do nursing. What if that could be a thing in South Africa? You know, like, you just travel to different parts of the country and you locum. It's not necessarily for everyone, but I think about my friend who wants to travel every 6 weeks. What if that was a thing in South Africa where we did like medical tourism for doctors who are not married, don't have kids, or just once a year of gallivanting, and we actually just put you all over the country. You know, you want to do Cape Town for a month, you want to do Joburg for a month, you want to do rural for a month. Well, that would be so cool. I think this is an app idea for someone, or like a business idea. I think something also to note is that once you become a registrar, you are allowed to switch fields. You are allowed to realize, listen, this field is not for me. Let me switch into a different field. It's not very much normalized, but it should be. I've met a few doctors, I've met a few registrars, I remember when I was in my working years, who said that they switched and they went to another specialization. That should be normalized. Like, one thing about this life is if you realize you made a mistake, you stop and you turn around. Don't continue in your foolishness of that mistake. Once you realize you're going the wrong direction, it's okay to stop and turn around. In that moment, you may look crazy. Nobody may understand it, but a few steps in that correct direction will make sense and you will be moving along. It should not be that dramatic, honestly. Something that's so cool that I think we need to implement a lot more is having parallel careers. Yes, being a doctor is very demanding, but if you have an interest like writing or content creation or research, anything like that, pursue it along with your work of being a doctor. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the exact same field. Like, you know how I'm a doctor and I'm doing this podcast for doctors? It doesn't need to be like that. It can be worlds apart. But I think when you are able to have something else going for you in your life in some other area, making progress, making struggles in some other area, it does make being a doctor and the work of it a lot less burdensome. I don't know if that's a word. Please do help me out. But yes, I think parallel careers need to be a thing. If not for the money, then for the enjoyment, and because it actually keeps you sane. I wrote here mentorship and management and policy and entrepreneurship as someone who's a senior doctor or consultant, but I think these are things that anyone at any point in medicine can do. Anyone at any stage should actually be mentoring someone. You should have someone who is younger and you should be leading the path for them so that they can get to where you've been. Everybody can be a mentor. Everybody needs to be mentored in some area of their lives. We need to normalize that, especially in medicine. Mentorship is very scarce, and some people are like, because I made it, I'm not going to help others. That's stingy. That's a limited mindset. We don't do that here, okay? Entrepreneurship. Your hospital time and your out of hospital time don't need to be similar. They can be worlds apart, but just engage another part of your brain. Like, engage it and go for it, because you know what can happen? Your business can thrive, and then that can be your way out of medicine. Or you can still be a doctor, but you're like a doctor for vibes. That's an episode that you and I need to gist over. Being a doctor just for vibes. Because I promise you, I've seen some doctors, and I know of some doctors who are not doctors and working for the money. They are there for the vibes. Because back at home, they have a husband who holds everything down, or they have a business that is supplying all their needs and whatnot. They're literally just spending their day choosing to be a doctor. And I remember in my internship, there's a doctor who was just like that. And I was like, I want to be a doctor for vibes. Not necessarily marrying the rich man or my line of thinking, okay, you know what, in all honesty, my line of thinking was, you know, there'll be a rich husband, but also there'll be a business. So like just being a doctor it'll just be for vibes. I don't know if you see what I'm saying. Pivoting does not mean quitting. It means aligning. And at every single area, no matter what step of medicine you are in, I urge you to go for alignment. Go for what feels in line for who you are as a person. Moreover, what makes sense with regards to your career, because what will people say and what will not. Go for alignment. Me in this day and age. You know, I've told you that I'm post-comserve. All right. I am getting a lot of ideas from everyone. People saying, go to China. Okay, not China, but go to Europe. Go work in Europe. Go work over there. Go apply for this. Go apply for that. Like, everyone will throw their opinions at you. And if you don't know your path, if you don't know what feels aligned with who you are and with where you're going and what focus you should be on, you will be chasing everything that everybody else says you need to chase. And that's not, that's the quickest way to burnout and the quickest way to failure is, like I said in a previous episode, it's not knowing your why, but it's also this thing of chasing what everybody else thinks is good. At some point in your life, you need to chase what feels aligned with you, which is why I'm so grateful that this time has strengthened my faith in the Lord, because I feel like he's here and I'm here. You know, we're right next to each other. Not necessarily next to because he's leading me, so he's ahead of me. But I'm looking at where he's leading me and with what he has placed in my heart and what feels right, so that I'm aligned. Alignment is the word of this podcast, you know? Like we have, yes, I need alignment to be the word of this podcast. Some people will be aligned with specializing in something, and some people will be aligned with changing their career at 35 and doing something totally different. It's okay. Like I said, this podcast is here to normalize whatever degree you want to do this degree in, and to what capacity you want it to take up in your life. You just need to, all these thoughts of what will people say, have I wasted my degree? Like I said, we are cancelling all of that. As we re-doctor ourselves and as we find new definitions for what doctor means in our life, surrounding us as a human being, it's important to realize the fact that we need to choose peace and purpose over pressure. We need to be people who are able to stand still for a moment and look for what is aligned with us. So just to close off, my dear listener, you are in your own race. You are in your own race. There's no ladder and there's no rush to climb up the ladder. I am 28 and this is the age where people get married, have kids, have their first, second or third kid. Everyone's doing a lot. Others are even buying houses. And I remember just saying in my prayer that, Lord, I felt so behind. And the Holy Spirit definitely comforted me and told me that, listen, this whole race that you think you're on in this life, it's an illusion. It's an illusion, because who made these rules? Who said you need to be married by 28? Who said that you were behind? Being behind is a very mental and made up thing that at some point each and every person needs to come to terms with. It also helps when you realize that you are in your own life, is your own race, and you are playing your own game. In this life, it is actually you playing your own game. And once you master the rules of your own game, then you can win it. It's not about making your life look like the other person's. Don't do that. Make a life that feels right within your purpose and is aligned towards that. I don't like seeing people, especially in the medical field, feel like they are lost, or like they become too burnt out to care because they've just done what the medical society has told them to do. But is it aligned with who you are? Is it aligned with where you see yourself? So that's why I feel like this episode is very important. Keep questioning. Always question things in this life. Don't just take things because people say you need to take them. Question it. See if it's correct for you and make the best decision. My name is Dr. Diane and this has been Redoctoring. If anything in this episode stood out for you, please do comment. Please do let me know. Lots of unfiltered moments and a few accent changes here and there. The more I become comfortable with this, the more you will be experiencing that. Please do go follow Our social media platforms, we are on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Yes, please do. Go subscribe, go follow everything. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please do rate this 5 stars and give a comment. Apparently on Spotify, you can comment on podcasts. I didn't know. Until next time, remember, this is your permission to be a different kind of doctor. Bye.